Hey Jake, your argument that the determination of art and non-art affects the freedom of creative self-expression and the way that those elements of culture are preserved throughout history through art is very strong, especially when supported by all the citations that you brought up from the lecture material. Especially the first point you made about the museum effect and the way that curators kind of use their institutional authority to determine what art is displayed, how art is displayed, and how that decision can affect the way that culture is seen throughout history by looking at the art that was preserved through the decisions of curators. On top of that, you touched on the aesthetic and monetary value, about how maybe artworks that had greater aesthetic or monetary value were preserved, and how that affects perception of history. Also, cultural differences, West Rest dichotomy, the exclusion of certain elements of different cultures, and how that affects cultural development. All great, strong points that reflect your strong and defensible claim. Uh, One that I felt didn't connect as much was your point about positionality. You kind of brought it up, but didn't exactly connect it back to the main argument. But I feel like you were more implying that people of certain positionalities are going to have a greater bias on what art is preserved, especially if these are like the elites that might be preserving art or running the institutions that have institutional authority. Looking back at history, it might be biased towards the positionality based preference of elites. But besides that, great breakdown, great argument, great video. It's overall good job.